Welcome, and thank you for joining me on this webinar tonight. The title of the webinar is What to Do and When to Do It, How Product Managers Can Boost Your Product's Sales and Profits. Tonight what we're going to be talking about is all of the different things that a product manager needs to do and the sequence in which they need to do it. We're all product managers, but you know, it's interesting. I don't think any of us grew up hoping to become product managers. We sort of find ourselves almost by accident having this particular job. And it's a great job. It's an exciting job, and it can be a very rewarding job. But the problem is that it can be very hard to figure out exactly what a product manager is supposed to do. And that's what we're going to be covering tonight. This webinar is going to last probably about 50 minutes or so I think I can let you out probably about 10 minutes early. Let's get started. So first off, let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Jim Anderson. And I've worked for some of the world's largest companies, including Boeing, Siemens, Alcatel, and Verizon. Additionally, I've worked for 3 different startups, Arcatel, Santera, and Logic. So I've seen both large organizations and also very, very small organizations where I was the only marketing department that they had. Now, during the course of my 25-year product management career, I've been in charge of 10 different products. And I would like to be able to tell you that all of my products were fantastic successes, but they weren't. I've had more than my fair share of failures. But what's interesting about my career is that I have learned so much from every product that I have managed. So I take all of the information that I have, all of the experiences that I have, and that's what I'm going to be sharing with you tonight during this webinar. So when we work as product managers, oftentimes, especially when we've had a very bad day, it's very easy for us to think to ourselves, man, you know, I wish I worked for a different company. I wish I worked for one of those shiny new companies, almost like Google, because I bet they know how to do product management correctly. Well, you know, I've thought that too, but it turns out that we're wrong. There was a recent story in the newspaper about the Moto X. Now, the Moto X is a brand new cell phone that was just released by Motorola. Google purchased Motorola for $13 billion about 2 years ago, and the Moto X is the very first cell phone that Motorola has released since being owned by Google. So expectations were very high for this cell phone, and it turns out it's a pretty good cell phone. But now the stories about the development process are starting to come out. And guess what? I think we probably all recognize some of these stories. The people who were working on the phone had trouble getting in touch with the people at Google who are in charge of the Android operating systems. There were some real concerns that the Chrome browser wasn't going to be able to be installed on the brand new phone because they couldn't get the information they needed from the team. And the fact that they didn't have a good relationship between Motorola and Google, the development teams, they weren't able to put the latest version of Android onto the phone. And it's interesting because the Motorola people say, listen, it seems as though the Google people treated us worse than they treat their other vendors, and you know, we work for the same company. So, you know, as product managers, I think we recognize all of these things. We've probably seen them, probably lived through them before, and you know, it really indicates that exactly what a product management job is. It's really a communication job. So we're going to talk tonight about all the different things you need to do and how we can prevent problems like the ones that have happened at Google and Motorola from happening to us. So as product managers, we don't necessarily get to pick the products that we manage. And I believe that there's 4 different types of products that you might be managing right now. So let's take a look at them. The first one is a new product that's being introduced to a brand new market, to a market that does not yet exist. This is very difficult to do because you're going to have to educate your customers about what the product is and what the market is. A great example of this would be, of course, the Apple iPhone. When it was introduced, there wasn't really the concept of a smartphone. They really defined a brand new market, and obviously it was a brand new product. It's been very, very successful, but not an easy product to manage. Now, the next type of product that you might be in charge of is a product that's going into it's a brand new product that's being introduced into an existing market. Now, this can be a real challenge because what it means is you're showing up without having any background, without having any history for your product, and you're going to go up against whoever's currently dominant in that product, in that market. Big challenge. A great example of this would be the Toyota Prius. Now the Toyota Prius was a brand new type of product, so it's a electric car that also has a gas engine, and it's being sold against all the existing cars that are out there. Those product managers had a huge challenge trying to convince people that it was worth more money to buy the Prius because they would use less gas. Now another type of product that you might be in charge of is an existing product that's being introduced into a new market. So it's a product the company's already selling, it already has its own market, already has its own history and existing customers, and now the company has decided to go ahead and sell it into a different market. An example of that would be a Kevlar glove. Now, Kevlar is a chemical, I guess it's a fabric that's used to make bulletproof vests that are used by both policemen and by soldiers. A Kevlar glove was introduced because the healthcare industry had a need for gloves that doctors and nurses could wear that wouldn't allow them to get poked by sharp things such as needles or razor blades. So it was taking an existing product, the Kevlar fabric, and using it in a different way and introducing it to a new market. Now, perhaps one of the toughest product challenges that a product manager can face is having an existing product and then applying it to an existing market. Now, that can be a huge challenge. A great example of this is Red Bull. So Red Bull, when it was originally introduced, was introduced into the club scene. And it was basically something you could add to a drink and it would give you an extra pep and you'd be able to dance all night. When the Red Bull folks decided to sell it as a standalone product, that's when things got sort of challenging because they had to move it out of the club scene and into the grocery store, which obviously they've done very, very well. So what do product managers actually do? And it's a good question, right? So your company makes a product, okay? And they've got a development team, they've got a manufacturing team, they do a great job of making their product. Your company also has a sales team, and it's the responsibility of the sales team to go out and sell the product that the company makes. Now, how the product makes it from the development organization into the hands of the salespeople, along with all the collateral, all the messaging, all the positioning, and all the features that the salespeople are going to need it to have, is the responsibility of the product manager. So you're really the pathway between the product development part of the organization and the sales organization. And you can see in the middle of this particular picture is a list of all the different things that product managers do. We do customer visits, we do teleconferences, we do customer interviews, revenue forecasts, user stories, and it goes on and on and on. And you know, this is exactly why product management is both so exciting, because it's so different every day, and yet at the same point in time, so very frustrating. Because a lot of product managers go, listen, I want my product to be successful, but I'm not quite sure what I should be doing, and more importantly, when I should be doing it, which are great questions. And we're going to answer both of those questions tonight. So what does your company want you to do? Well, they sort of want you to be a Superman, right? They really want to make sure that the product that you're in charge of is going to be a success. That's the key. And how do they measure success? Well, it's in terms of both sales, they want to sell a lot of the product, and profits. So if you sell a lot of products and your company isn't making a lot of money, then something's wrong, right? But they're going to measure you and measure your success as a product manager based on sales and profits. And so those are the two things that you have to control. Well, you know, we're all just regular people. We're not actually Supermen, right? So we have a lot of challenges here. It's not easy being a product manager. There's a lot of things that we have to do. There's a lot of different parts of the organization that we have to interact with. We have to deal with customers and salespeople and developers, and the list goes on and on. So it's not an easy job, but it is an exciting job, and it is an interesting job. Now, if you only had a way to make sure that you had everything under control and that you were doing everything you had to do, it would be an even better job. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Okay, so the thing is most companies already have a product development process, and this is what the product development process has looked at most of the companies that I've worked for. It may look very familiar to you. This type of product development process is called a stage gate process. It was invented by Dr. Robert Cooper. And Dr. Robert Cooper, way back in 1976, published a book called Winning the New Product Game, an empirical study of successful product innovation in Canada. What Dr. Cooper had done is he'd gone out and talked to a lot of different companies in Canada, and the ones that were successful, he asked them how they were successful, and they all sort of revealed that they had some sort of version of what you see here. A stage gate process is actually pretty simple. So at gate 1, the company demands that the product manager provide them with a set of documentation. If it's at gate 1, it can be pretty general, but something that describes what the product is, what you hope it's going to do, maybe sort of an estimate of the market size. Your senior management and probably some folks from the finance department are going to take a look at it. And if they think that this is something the company can do and make some money at, they'll give you the approval to proceed to stage 1. And stage 1, you do some of the preliminary work in developing a product. You also put together a few more documents, and those documents are taken to gate 2. Gate 2, you're a little bit farther down the road. You have a little bit more information about the customers and the market. You once again present this new information to, once again, senior management and probably some folks in the finance department. If they feel comfortable that the product can be a success, they'll approve you to go on to stage 2 and gate 3 and stage 3, etc., etc. What a lot of people don't realize about this is that this is basically a product development process that was created by your company's finance department. What they're very concerned about is that they're going to spend a lot of money on developing a product that in the end they're not going to be able to sell, or it's not going to be profitable for the company. And so the whole idea behind the stage gate process is that if there's enough reviews built into the system, what they're going to be able to do is they're going to be able to kill the product if it looks like it's not going to be a success. And you know, in all honesty, that makes a great deal of sense, and you can understand where they're coming from, but it's a product development process developed by the finance department, not by the product managers. So if this is the way you're developing your products, you're missing a lot of what needs to be done. A much better way to develop your product is what I like to call the STOMP system. And STOMP stands for Successful Techniques for Managing Products. The STOMP system is a 7-stage system for developing products. It starts with the concept of knowing what your customer wants, and it goes all the way to selling the actual product. Now there's 37 different steps to the STOMP system. And these are all the different things that a product manager needs to do to correctly define, productize, and launch a product. And tonight, during this webinar, we're going to be stepping through the STOMP system, and we're going to be taking a look at each one of these stages to make sure that you understand exactly what goes on during that stage. Now, I went a little bit crazy with the colors here. I do appreciate that. I have a number of friends who have difficulty telling the difference between red and green and blue and stuff like that. So I included a black and white version of this STOMP system in the deck. And after tonight's call, I'm going to be providing everybody with a copy of not only the color version, but also a copy of the black and white version. So each stage in the STOMP system is designed to answer one question. Starting with the know stage, it's designed to answer the question, what do your customers really want? And if you think about it from a product management point of view, that's a critical question, because you don't want to take another step forward unless you understand your customers' needs. During the plan stage, you're going to take a look and determine how your company is going to actually create and deliver what your customers want. Now note that this is a very important question, because if it turns out that your company, for whatever reason, cannot create the product or can't deliver it to the customer, then it's not a product that you should make. Okay? Execute. Now during this stage, you're going to figure out how your customers are going to discover your product. Remember, if you've got a new product, or if you're introducing an existing product into a new market, customers aren't going to know anything necessarily about your product, or maybe even about your company. So you need to come up with a plan to make sure that they become aware of you, because if they're not aware of you, they're not going to be able to buy your product. During the create stage, you have to determine what your customers are going to think of your product when they use it. Your product needs to create an emotional response in your customers. Is it solving their problem? Is it making them happy? Is it allowing them to do something they couldn't do without your product? You need to identify exactly what that is, because you're really going to have to make sure that when you design the product, when you build the product, that you emphasize that functionality over everything else. The refine stage is designed to answer the single question, how will you get better at meeting your customers' changing needs? So look, we're product managers, but we're not perfect, right? So as we go through the process of defining and creating a product, we're going to make mistakes. We'll make some assumptions that'll be wrong. We'll probably make some mistakes. And then just to make things even more complicated, our customers are going to be changing all the time. So the purpose of the refine stage is to allow us to take a look and see where we're at, take a look and see where our customers are at, and adjust to meet the changing needs. During the succeed stage, we're going to be answering the question of how you're going to get your product into your customers' hands. More often than not, that's going to be through your sales team, and that means that you're going to have to figure out how you, the product manager, are going to support your company's sales teams so that they'll take the time to actually sell your product and sell it correctly. Finally, during the sell stage, this is the stage where you're going to help prepare your existing customers to buy from you again. So if you've sold them your product, then you want to prepare them to buy the next version of the product, or perhaps the follow-on product that you're going to be making. Your best source of customers for the next version or next product is going to be your existing customers. And in the sell stage, you prepare those customers to buy from you yet again. Now, the STOMP product management process is designed to get you to start in the planning and preparing stage. This is where you collect the information that you're going to need and then you process it so that you can move into the do stage, where you start to create the things that you're going to need to be able to sell. So you're creating your product, you're creating your collateral, you're creating your pricing. Then you move into the deliver stage, and this is the stage where you equip your salespeople, where you equip your channels, and where you get your product out in front of your customers. It's so very important that when you're developing a product or launching a product, you do it in this fashion. You need to spend your time preparing and planning. Don't waste any of your time working on delivery tasks before you have everything else taken care of. All too often, I see product managers at an early stage working on delivery tasks, and that's the wrong thing to do because you're wasting time, and in fact, if the product gets canceled, you will have completely thrown all that extra effort away. So the STOMP product management process takes you by the hand and makes sure that you do things in the right sequence. Now, the STOMP product management system is not for everybody. This is not the right system for every product manager out there. Okay? Product managers who want to manage their product like their life depends on it, then the STOMP system's for you. If you're managing a product and it doesn't really matter if it's successful, it doesn't really matter if it generates more sales, the company's happy with it as it is, customers aren't complaining, the salespeople are all taken care of, they're making their numbers. If everybody's pretty happy, then don't even bother with the STOMP system. Okay? It's just going to be additional overhead that you really don't need to worry about. However, if you're under pressure to generate more sales or to generate more profits for your company, then the STOMP system is probably something you're going to want to look into. The STOMP system was born in startups where products have to succeed, because if they don't, the company's going to go out of business. It was then hardened in established firms where products must make a profit, otherwise they're going to be killed. So if those are important to you, okay, then the STOMP system is probably something you want to look into. And finally, the STOMP system is stripped down. There's nothing extra in the STOMP system. At the beginning, I told you there was 37 steps to the STOMP system. Notice that there's not 38 or 39 steps, because all it takes is 37 steps to do a product management job correctly. Now, in the beginning, we talked about the stage gate process. Obviously, the STOMP system doesn't look like the stage gate process, but here's the great thing. You can overlay the STOMP system over a stage gate process. It's really easy to do. Basically, you could take the know and plan stages and map it to gate 1. You could take execute and create and map it to gate 2. You know, every company's stage gate process is a little bit different, so it's a matter of customizing the STOMP system to match the way your company wants to do it. The beauty of the system is that you'll do what you have to do for your company. You'll have all the deliverables for gate 1, gate 2, and gate 3, but at the same point in time, because you have the STOMP system, you'll be doing all of the things that you need to do as a product manager. You won't be skipping anything and you won't be forgetting anything. The STOMP system takes care of you. Now, I do have to caution you. We're getting ready to move into the part of the webinar where I'm going to be providing you with a lot of information. Okay, there's three things I want you to remember. In the STOMP system, everything that you do has a purpose. We will always use it later on. So if you do something in one stage, you'll be using it later on for something in a later stage. Number two, at any point in the process, if you determine that your product is not going to be successful, then kill it. Do not continue to work on it. And finally, number three, the focus of every step is to generate more sales and more profits for your product. That's the whole purpose of the STOMP system. We don't do any of this just because it should be done. There's no academic reasons why it should be here. We didn't try to make the framework bigger to look more impressive. Instead, every single step in the STOMP process is required, and it's designed to generate more sales and more profits. All right, let's get to it. All right, we're going to go stepping through the STOMP process, okay? And we could go through each individual stage, but that would be fairly boring. So I thought about this and said, well, what's the best way to do it? Look, we're all product managers, okay? So if we're going to go through the STOMP process, we should do it with a product. And I thought to myself, well, what product could we use? I've got to come up with a product. Well, I gave it a little bit of thought, and I thought, well, what do we all like? Well, we all like chocolate. Everybody likes chocolate. Okay, that's a good place to start. I thought to myself, well, what else do we like? Well, we like butter, okay? Well, if we like chocolate and if we like butter, then who wouldn't like choco butter? A combination of chocolate and butter in one form. That would be fantastic. Just imagine, every place that you normally use butter, you can now use choco butter. So I think choco butter is a fantastic product. I think it's a product we need to share with the world. And as product managers, I think we need to go through a product launch process to get choco butter into the stores. Let's go ahead and see how we do that. Okay, so we've had the choco butter idea. It's a great idea. We know we want to create this product. We know we want to get it into the stores and onto the shelves. Once it's there, customers will know about it because we will have told them about it. They'll buy it. Our sales will go up, our profits will go up, and our company will be pleased with what we've done as a product manager. Now remember, to launch choco butter, we're going to have to go through the STOMP product management process. That means we're going to be going through 7 different phases of launching the product. Remember that during each one of these phases, if we determine that for whatever reason our company is not going to be able to create the choco butter product and sell it successfully, then at that point in time we need to throw the product idea away. And remember, that's part of every single stage of the STOMP system. First stage in the STOMP system is the no stage, and this is critical. We're going to be answering one question in the stage. What do your customers really want? We're going to start it off by taking a look at product jobs. Now the question is what would our customers hire our product to do? What do people do with butter today? And I apologize because I know it's late at night that we're having this webinar and I'm showing you pictures of food, so I apologize that. It might make some people sort of hungry. So today, what do we put butter on? Well, we put it on bread, we put it on bagels, we put it on muffins, we put it on pasta, potentially we put it on corn, dinner rolls, popcorn, garlic bread, baked potatoes, and even tostadas. Well, that's fabulous. Now, all of these products are prime candidates to have choco butter put on them. So our customer, when they have a piece of bread, they could hire our choco butter product to basically put it on it. So that's fantastic. What's the market need for choco butter? Good question. Well, you know, we know our customers love chocolate and we know that they love butter, but who has the time in their kitchen to put chocolate and butter together? Nobody. You could heat it up, you could melt it together, you could do a lot of different things, but nobody's got that kind of time, so they're pressed for time. Also, there's the problem with children. Children who don't want to eat their food. Well, you know, if you put chocolate butter on some food, you could turn a child who doesn't want to eat something into a child who's looking forward to a meal. Now, another thing that we need to consider is the fact is, how much chocolate butter does any single customer need? And the answer is probably going to be different customers have different needs. So we'll have to create a small, a medium, and a large version of our chocolate butter product. Now, are we the only product out there? No, of course not. There are competitors. If we take a look at the competitors in the market, we're going to discover that there's already a series of chocolate spreads on the market. Nutella is probably the most famous of these, but in every region there's some sort of chocolate spread. Now the good news here is, although there is a wide variety of chocolate spreads, nobody else seems to have latched onto the idea of offering a butter chocolate combination. So we've come up with something that's going to make us sort of unique. Which leads to the next question. What makes our company distinct? Well, we're going to have to figure that one out. It could be the cows that we use to make the butter, or even the cows that we use to make the chocolate. It could be that our company is located in Switzerland, which is known for fantastic chocolate. It could be that every time somebody buys one of our products, we make a donation to a charitable organization. Or perhaps we've gotten a celebrity medical person to recommend our product and say that there's some sort of health benefit for it. These are all possibilities, and none of them is better than the other. We're just going to have to pick one or two and make it our company distinction. Now, after we've done these 4 steps, product jobs, market needs, competitive alternatives, and determine what our company distinction is, we now have enough information to create our solution USP. USP stands for Unique Selling Proposition, and this is a critical statement of what makes our company selling chocolate butter unique. Okay, and this is very critical to put together at this early stage of the game, because inside our company there's going to be people who are going to be asking us, why are you doing this? And of course, when we meet with customers, they're going to be asking us, why would I want to buy this product? Having a USP gives us a concise response to both of those questions. We can explain to people in the company why we're going to the effort of creating chocolate butter, and we can explain to our customers why they will want to buy chocolate butter. So if you do this early on, it's going to save you a lot of effort later on. Now, the no stage is designed to answer the question, what do your customers really want? Let's take a look at where we're at now that we've completed the stage. We know what our customers would use chocolate butter for. We know what our customers' needs are and what needs are that our product would meet are. We know who we're going to be competing against, and we also know why our customers would buy from our company, what makes our company distinct. And finally, we can tell internal and external customers why our company is the best company to buy chocolate butter from. Not bad. We've got it all taken care of. Let's move on to the next stage in the STOMP process. The next stage is the plan stage. And here we're going to be trying to answer the question of how are you going to create or deliver what your customers want? Well, you know, the interesting thing about chocolate butter is that we're going into a market that already has sort of half of what we're producing. So we can try and launch our brand new product, or maybe it would be smart if we found some partners. Now, in the world of butter, there's Land O'Lakes, I Can't Believe It's Butter, Country Crock, and Blue Bonnet. These are significant companies that make butter. There's also Godiva, Hershey's, M&M's, and Cadbury, who are companies that make chocolate. It would be well worth our product manager time to have a talk with both sets of companies and see if they'd be interested in partnering with us. They don't make a competing product at this point in time, and potentially it could be something that they might want to co-brand with us. We'd have to check with them. Next, we're going to need to create a business strategy for our chocolate butter product. Now, in the world of business strategies, there's basically 3 main types of strategies. One is to be a low-cost provider, another one is to have a unique product, or the third is to know your customer better than anybody else. For the chocolate butter product, I think having a unique product is probably going to be our best choice here. Next, we need to come up with a marketing strategy. Marketing strategies fall into 3 basic categories. Do we want to take a larger share of the market? Do we want to defend our share of the market, which is sort of silly because we don't have a share of the market yet, or do we want to grow the overall market? I think what we want to do is grow the overall market, convince people to put a chocolate butter spread on more things than they're currently doing today. And the final stage, the next step is that we're going to come up with a sales strategy. 2 different ways to do sales strategy. One is a direct approach, where we approach the buyers of butters and spreads and chocolate products, and we try to sell our product to them. That's going to be a little bit tough because they already have their preferred suppliers. Perhaps an indirect approach would do a little bit better here, where instead of necessarily going in and trying to replace an existing product, we go in and try to become an additional product that these people sell. Finally, having completed all these stages and having completed the previous stage, we now have the ability to create a roadmap. And the roadmap is going to tell us, first off, what are the steps involved inside of our company to create this product, and when are we going to have a product that we're going to be able to sell, which is great because that's going to be a date that we're going to need to start to advertise both inside and outside of the company. When we've completed the plan stage, hopefully we have enough information to answer the question of how we're going to create and deliver what our customers want. We've identified potential partners. We've decided to use a distinctive product business strategy. We're going to use the grow the market marketing strategy, and we've decided to use an indirect sales strategy. Now, we've also created a cocoa butter product roadmap. And that's going to be fantastic because that's probably going to be something that the company is going to ask for at the next stage gate review. The next stage in the STOMP process is the execute stage. The purpose of this stage is to answer the question, how will your customers discover your product? Remember, cocoa butter is a brand new product, nobody knows about it, and there's no competition, so we're sort of creating our own market. Visibility is going to be very important. Giving away samples of cocoa butter is going to be critical. Giving away advertising material that customers who really like cocoa butter can put on their bumper sticker, on the bumper of their car. And maybe even throwing some parties in which we serve cocoa butter to people who've not experienced it before are all going to be great ways to get the visibility of our product out in front of people. Now, we're going to have to generate our own customers because customers aren't going to, just creating the product isn't going to be good enough. They're not going to come to us. So we're going to have to go to trade shows. We're going to have to do advertising. We're going to have to do cold calling. We're going to have to send out emails. Blogging is going to be important. We're going to have to make the most of social media. We're going to have to put a lot of content out there on the internet. And we're going to have to worry about organic search, making sure that people find us when they're searching for spreads or butter or what have you. Now, another key and important thing is each customer that we get for our brand new product is going to be very valuable to us. So we really have to come up with a plan to both engage them and then to retain them. If you buy cocoa butter once, if you use cocoa butter once, I want to make sure that you go back and buy more of it. So I want to find out what your impressions of the product are, because I will make changes if it's not good for some reason. Perhaps what we want to do is do some sort of pairing where we sell cocoa butter with popcorn to generate more usage of it. And perhaps customers are going to tell us that they don't want to buy just one serving of cocoa butter, but we should package it in groups of 4 or 5 or what have you. Now, after we've completed these 3 steps, we're going to have enough information because of both this stage and previous stage that we're going to be able to create a business plan. And I'm sure that your company already has a way that they like to do business plans, but these are the basic things that go into everybody's business plan. You just might call them something different. As long as we're doing a business plan, we can probably come up with pricing. And I want to remind you that the strategy that we're using is that we have a unique and valuable product here. We're not trying to be the low-cost leader here, and our pricing will reflect it. We'll probably price cocoa butter towards the upper end of the market. And I think that we'll probably be able to get that. Now, when we're done with the execute stage, the question is have we answered the question of how our customers are going to discover our product? And I think we have. We've got a plan for getting the product out in front of the customers. We've identified how we're going to get in contact with our potential customers. And once we get a customer, we now have a plan for how we're going to keep them. And that is critical. In order to get internal approval, we've got a business plan, and we've also gone ahead and set a price for what we're going to be selling it at. So we've taken care of finding our customers, and we've taken care of the internal things that our company is going to be asking us to do. Let's move on to the next stage of the STOMP process, which is create. Now, during the create stage, we're going to be trying to answer the question of what will your customers think of your product when they use it. Remember, what they think of the product is critical to getting your customers to come back and buy it once again. So the first thing we're going to do is take a look at some of the buyer and user personas. So where are the customers going to be using our product? It's going to be the time-pressed parent being able to reach for a bar of cocoa butter. It's going to be the parent dealing with a picky eater child, going to be able to put some cocoa butter on it and suddenly make a food that they weren't going to touch into a desirable thing. Parents who are working with their children in the kitchen, they can do recipes that use cocoa butter and everyone's going to like what they produce. And perhaps friends who are having friends over serve cocoa butter with the meal, which makes for an interesting meal that their friends haven't had before, and it's a great discussion topic. Next thing we're going to have to do is take a look at and see where our customers are actually going to buy our product. For the cocoa butter product, Walmart is probably going to be one of them. Anyone in the fast convenience stores, such as 7-Eleven, will probably be very popular. We'll have to approach the traditional grocery store chains and perhaps even some of the high-end chains. We can sell it as a unique product that they haven't had before. Messaging and positioning, we're going to have to figure out how we're going to convince people to buy it. What we might want to do is go after people who are already using spread products and say, hey, for once put the spread away and try cocoa butter and see if you like it. Since they're already using an equivalent product, it shouldn't be that hard to convince them to use cocoa butter. Another great idea is to find an influencer, somebody who has the reach to touch our customers. Maybe getting a celebrity chef such as Gordon Ramsay or even Paula Deen. Paula Deen's had some publicity problems lately. We can probably get her pretty cheap. Now, after we've completed these steps and after we've completed this part of this stage and the previous stage, we're going to be able to create our product requirements. The most important thing about the product requirements is for our chocolate butter product is that there's a lot of decisions that we're going to have to make. The question is are we going to provide it in a spreadable container? Are we going to provide it in individual bars? Or how much chocolate are we going to include? How much butter are we going to include? Are we going to make a light version of it? So there's a lot of different pieces of information that we need to have already collected from our customers that we will then feed into the product requirement process. We're also going to have to take a look at customer use scenarios. Where are the customers going to buy it? When they take it home, where are they going to store it? Are they going to store it on the counter? Are they going to store it in the refrigerator? When will they use it? Will they use it as part of a baking process? Will they serve it on the table for people to use? So we need to take a look at exactly how they're going to use the product so that we can then go ahead and customize the product to work with the way the customers want to use it. Now, when we're done with the create stage, hopefully we'll have answers to the question of what will your customers think of your product when they use it. Now, you know in what situations customers would use your product. You'll know where they will buy your products. You've created a reason for them to buy your product, and you've shown them somebody that they respect who is using your product. And that's very important because nobody wants to be first. If you can convince your customer that somebody else has already bought your product, they have no problems being second or third. You've defined exactly what does and does not go into your product, and you've described exactly how customers will use your product. So you're making a lot of progress here. So now we should go on to the refine step. In the refine step, we're going to be trying to answer the question of how are you going to get better at meeting your customers' changing needs. Okay, remember, as product managers, we're not perfect. All right, so we will make some guesses, some assumptions, and make some decisions that will probably turn out to be wrong. Meanwhile, at the same point in time, our customers are always changing. So this stage of the process gives us a chance to reset and to correct some of the things that we've done. Right off the bat, we want to grab thought leadership. Okay, so we've got our product, we're doing a lot of stuff with it. Now what we want to do is make sure that our customers start to think about our product. If we, in the case of chocolate butter, if we get the American Medical Association, a bunch of doctors, to start to say that our product is a good product or that it has some health benefits, then that's fantastic. If we can get chocolate butter worked into cookbooks, into recipes, or into cooking magazines, then that's fantastic. Our customers will start to see more and more of it. Now, in order to refine what we're doing, we're going to have to learn from our customers. We're going to have to meet with customers who have used our product. We're going to have to ask them questions and get feedback and find out how they used it, what part of the product they liked, and what things they'd like to have changed. Now, I'd like to say that everybody in the world will want to buy chocolate butter, but that's probably not true. We're going to want to refine our funnel because what we want to do with all of our marketing and sales efforts, we want to go after the people who are actually going to buy the product. So chocolate butter is a product that you can use probably to do baking, or you could actually put on a table when you're having dinner at home. If we go after young people who are probably eating out most meals, they're not going to be our primary target customer. So we probably don't want to spend a lot of time going after them. Now remember, we've already talked about it, but I can't say it enough. We got to come up with ways to keep existing customers. We'll probably come up with plans to keep existing customers. We need to take a look at what kind of success we're having there. And if we're not keeping them all, then we have to refine and update our plans to make sure that every customer we get, we're able to hold on to. Now, having done all of these things during this stage and all the previous stages, we're now in a position where we have the information to be able to go ahead and create a whole bunch of different things. Our product launch plan, our marketing plan, a system to track results before we actually have results coming in, and probably the most important thing, especially for the chocolate butter product, a system of references and referrals. The best way to get chocolate butter out and to have it become the runaway success that I know it can is to have people use it and then tell their friends about the great experience they had using chocolate butter. Now, when we're done with the refined stage, hopefully we will have come up with an answer to the question of how we're going to meet our customers' changing needs. So we got the people that our customers trust and follow to use our product. That's fantastic. We've listened to what our customers are telling us about the product, and we've made any changes that we have to. We're going to focus on selling to the customers who are actually going to buy it, and we're not going to spend any time trying to sell to people who will not buy our product. We're going to create programs that get customers to keep coming back. Remember, if you've tried cocoa butter once, I want you to buy more and more and more. Now, having done all this, we can produce a lot of products. We can create a launch plan, a marketing plan. We're going to be able to set up a system to track the results of all of our marketing actions. And we're going to be able to create a system that's going to cause our customers to act as references for our product. We now move on to the next stage in the STOMP process, and this is the succeed stage. Here we're trying to answer the question of how we're going to get a product into our customers' hands. And you know, pretty much at most companies, we do this exactly the same way. We work with the sales teams. Now, every company's sales process is a little bit different, but pretty much they all have all the same 6 steps: product knowledge, prospecting, approach, needs assessment, presentation, and then of course the close. And these are all very valuable steps. You're not going to be able to change the way your company's sales team does their job. Okay? Instead, what you need to do is take cocoa butter and map it to the sales system that your salespeople use. They probably have a product description system. They probably have a pricing book. They have all sorts of things already in place. You need to get cocoa butter to work into those existing products. Okay? In order to support this, you're going to create marketing and customer content. It can be brochures. It can be giveaways. It can be a lot of different things, but you're going to make it cocoa butter focused so that your salespeople, when they meet with customers, they have a lot of stuff to give them. You're going to create product sales tools. Obviously, it's probably going to be presentations talking about how great cocoa butter is, and you're probably creating pricing, hopefully indicating that it becomes a lot cheaper as you buy more and more cocoa butter from your company. And finally, you'll come up with channel coaching. You know, it's not just your sales team that's going to be selling your product. You're probably going to be relying on channel partners, which means that you need to support the channel partners when they go to trade shows. You need to provide them with content for their blogs, content to put on their website, perhaps some outbound call support, and of course templates that they can use for the emails that they're sending out to their distributors. So this is a lot of extra work, but what's great about this work is that it all is going to result in more sales for your product. So the succeed stage is trying to answer the question of how you're going to get your product into your customers' hands. You're going to work with your sales team to determine how cocoa butter can be worked into each stage of the sales process. Okay? You're going to go ahead and create marketing content for both prospects and also to retain your existing customers. You're going to create product-specific sales tools that'll be used by your sales teams, and of course you're going to support your product channels by doing whatever they want, but basically by creating material and programs that you can use to coach them. All right, there's only one more stage left to the STOMP system, and that's the sell stage. Now, what we want to do during sell is prepare our customers to buy from you again. Okay? And we'll do that in a lot of different ways. Presentations and demos, and these are a little different from just presenting cocoa butter, but really what you're doing is you're presenting cocoa butter and you may be presenting the next product or the derivative product. I'm not quite sure what it could be. It could be blueberry cocoa butter for all I know. But what you're going to do is you're going to use this as an opportunity to roll out the next version or an additional product. Event delivery is something else that you're going to do. Okay, and that's going to include trade shows and seminars and things like that. And so you'll have a lot of different things that you can do there. So the other thing you're going to do is be supporting your partners. Now the partners are going to be very, very important. You're going to want to do surveys and check with them and determine what's going on with them and get feedback from them. You're going to want to create customized presentations for your partners, and you might even want to create customized pricing for your partners depending on how much cocoa butter they're actually selling. And finally, and this is something every product manager does, custom sales support. Okay, so your salespeople are always going to come back to you and they're going to be asking for maybe a custom presentation, maybe custom packaging, or something special to support a particular customer. And as we always do in the world of product management, you're going to work with them and you're going to see what you can do to meet their unique needs. All right. So the sell stage, when we're done with the sell stage, hopefully we've prepared our existing customers to buy from us again. We've done presentations and demos, and we've created all the material that we needed for that. We've planned for events and seminars, and we have plans to maximize the result of supporting these. We also understand that partners need unique support. So we've created special material that's going to make it easier for them to sell our product. And some of our sales teams are going to need customized support from us, and we will do whatever we have to do to make sure that our own internal sales teams are going to be successful with our cocoa butter product. There we go. So that's it. From start to finish, we've come up with a product management process to support the fabulous cocoa butter product. Now, this particular picture is very ugly, and I do apologize for showing it to you. But the reason I'm doing it is it has a very specific purpose. So everything that we do in the STOMP system is used by another part of the STOMP system. right? So every single thing that you do is reused at a later point in time in the system. Nothing that we do is just done because it should be done. Everything is tied to everything else. So the system works with itself, okay? And as you go stepping through the different stages, it becomes stronger and stronger, and the message that you're putting together becomes more and more clear. So why use the STOMP system? It seems sort of complex. There's 37 steps to it, etc., etc. Well, let's think about it. It's you versus your competition. And if you're using the STOMP system and they're not, what would the difference be? Well, using the STOMP system, you know what to do for your product and you know when to do it. If your competition is not using the STOMP system, then they're not really sure where to start. And they're never going to be quite sure if they've done everything that they should be doing. Okay, now your project's going to be able to deal with delays because you know what's coming next. You know, if development can't get something to you or a partner can't get something to you, that's okay. Because you know the other things that you should be working on at the same point in time. You can move on, work on those things, and then come back and take care of whatever you were waiting on from them. You'll never not be doing something. Now, over at your competition, it's going to seem like they're always scrambling, trying to catch up because they keep getting surprised and they keep falling behind when what they need isn't available. Now, you're going to be able to know that everything that you do contributes to boosting the sales or profits of your product, and that's a critical thing to understand. Over at your competition, they're going to feel as though they have no control over their sales and profits, and in other words, if it starts to go downhill, there's nothing they can do about it. And finally, your sales teams and your partners are going to feel as though almost like you can read their mind. You know what they need, and you're providing it to them even before they ask for it. Meanwhile, over at your competition, I think we're all familiar with this, their phone and email is just going to be overloaded because what's going to happen is they're going to be getting calls from everybody for things that they just don't have. So clearly, using the STOMP system can make your life a lot better. Now, congratulations, welcome to the world of being a product manager. How can you become a better product manager? Well, there's a lot of different ways, okay? You get on a plane, you could rent a car, you go to a hotel, you could have some hotel meals, and you could spend a number of days going to a training class. And that can be pretty darn expensive. When you get back to the office, you have a nice binder, you'll put it up on the shelf, and you'll go back to doing your job the way you did before the training. Another alternative is you can go out and buy a book, and there's a number of very good books on product management out there. The problem is after you buy the book, you have to read it. After you read it, you have to implement what you read, and that can be very difficult to do. Okay? Not an easy job. There's got to be a better way. And the good news is, of course, there is a better way. It's the STOMP system, and it's offered by Blue Elephant Consulting. Okay? The STOMP system doesn't require you to travel. It provides you with practical, real-world information. I'm going to maximize your learning in a minimum amount of time. You'll have the ability to access all of the class information so you can review it as much as you want to. Ultimately, what's going to happen is we're going to dramatically reduce your learning curve. You can learn to become a better product manager very easily. Okay, so the STOMP product management system is broken up into 7 different phases. I did a survey over at the Accidental Product Manager blog a little while ago, and I asked my readers, and there's about 4,000 readers. I asked them, you know, hey, of all the different stages, which one would you most like to have assistance with? And it was very interesting, and it was sort of close, but the no stage, the very first stage, is the one that people said, hey, this is the one that I would like to have the most help with. So in order to meet that particular need, what I've done is I've put together a webinar that talks just about the no stage. I'm going to go stepping through all 5 steps in the no stage. I'm going to talk about how you traditionally segment a market. I'm going to be talking about a better way to segment your market based on the type of jobs that your customers do. I'm going to be talking about market needs that includes goals and solutions. I'm going to be talking about how to estimate the market size using the TAM, SAM, SOM method. I'm going to be talking about competitive alternatives, including the critical non-competitive alternatives. You might know who your competition is, but remember, there's other things out there that your customer can choose instead of you or your competitors. I'm going to be talking about things that make your company distinct and how you can finalize the list of things to pick the right one. And finally, I'm going to be talking about the unique selling proposition, how you can create it, and some of the factors that you have to take into account when you're doing a USP. And this is all going to be made available to you in a training program. Okay? The training program is going to be priced at $497. Okay? However, because you're watching this video right now, it's going to be available to you for $247 for the next 48 hours. Okay? Take this webinar and you can get a full 60 minutes covering all 5 phases of the no stage. Each phase is going to be examined in detail. You're going to come away from it knowing exactly what you need to have to do. From this training, you're going to get a recorded video of the webinar, you're going to get an action guide, and you're going to get a booklet that covers the no stage of the STOMP product management system. To get access to this, you need to register online. You need to go to www.blueelephantconsulting.com/no, K-N-O-W. You've got 48 hours to go to that web address if you'd like to sign up for this webinar for US $247. That's half off. After 48 hours, I'm going to raise the price to $497. This is your opportunity to invest in yourself and for you to become a better product manager. It's really up to you to make the decision. The STOMP system puts it all together for you. Finally, you'll know all the things that you need to do to be a successful product manager, and you'll know the sequence that you have to do them in. The training's going to teach you all you need to know about the no stage. We're going to go through all 5 steps of the no stage. You'll come away from it knowing exactly what you have to do to start the launch of a new product. Thank you very much for listening, and have a good evening.